George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Well, it's a race for Congress. The 22nd Congressional District has a couple of candidates, Democratic candidates running for office, and the primary is coming up. And one of those candidates running is Sam Roberts, former New York State Assemblyman, former Onondaga County legislator, now throwing his hat in the ring for an open seat, a rarity, right? There's an open seat in the 22nd Congressional District, the newly formed 22nd Congressional District. Sam, first of all, welcome. Good to see you. Sam is a friend, so we ain't got to do all that. But Sam, good to see you. And talk to me about what this district is. Let's start with that.
Well, thank you, George, and thank you for inviting me to your show. Again, like you said, we are friends. We go back many years. I tell everybody, when we were little skinny guys, man. Yeah. But anyway, so the district, like you said, is the New York State 22nd Congressional District, and that is comprised of the counties of Onondaga, Madison, and Oneida in totality.
Yeah.
When you said the new, because it's with the redistricting, it went from a little northerner, going up to Oswego, Wayne County, like that. And in the redistricting, it went over and we picked up 8 different counties to the Finger Lakes and to the southern tier. Now it wound up where we are in Onondaga, Madison, and Oneida, so 3 counties. Right. Which it's an interesting concoction. They have it. That's the way it is, and that's the way we're running. So it was challenged. It was challenged in court. That's why it got switched around a little bit. So our primary now is August 23rd. Early voting starts August 13th. Mm-hmm. Right now, absentee ballot is going on right now, George, as we're speaking. But the early voting starts, so you can vote from August 13th up until August 23rd.
And it's interesting, Sam, to talk about that. So now you've got where you used to have a piece of Auburn, now you don't. But you have Utica and Rome and Syracuse, right?
Yes, Canastota's big, yeah. Oneida,
like the city of Oneida plus Oneida County, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got a lot of different constituencies and different needs, especially when you pull in all of Oneida County into your district. That's pretty the fact that they put all that together is just a lot.
Well, it's real rural, very diversified. When you take in the dynamics of all the different cultures and the people, it's a beautiful thing. It's America. This is truly, Central New York represents the country as far as the cultural experience, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if we could get the weather along with that, we're doing something.
So, Sam, tell us your background about tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, you mentioned it. I'm a former state assemblyman, former county legislator. What's interesting, George, with that, when I first said I would run, then it took a minute for me to agree to do this. I had to do some serious soul searching. I retired, and then here I am running. And the thing is that folks
and you were most recently at the state, right? You were most recently at the state?
Yeah, at the state while I was with SUNY Oswego.
Right.
Special advisor to the president. That was my last job. And then before that, I was a commissioner for the state agency of OTDA, but that's another story, as Rick Wright would say. But the thing is that folks were talking about, well, we have to see if you're a viable candidate. And I said, viable candidate? I said, what makes a person viable? They said, well, it depends on how much money you can raise. And I said, I've never been able to raise a lot of money, but I've always won. And I've run 8 times and won 8 times, and
all of your elections, right?
With the county ledge, 5 terms in the county legislature, 3 terms in the state assembly. And then, I was pulled up to and asked to come on board with the administration and to be the commissioner. And I was a commissioner of an agency. I had a $5.6 billion budget that I oversaw. And then we administered another $10 billion of federal dollars, and that's what I did. I had over 2,000 employees, and this is across the state. I traveled, I dare say every mile. I can't say every inch, but just about every mile of the state of New York. Hit every county at least once, some twice. And so, I understand the needs of the people of the state of New York, period. And then, the traveling I do across the country for all the things that I'm involved in, I feel good about what I'm doing. People ask me, and I know this is one of the questions you're probably going to ask me is, well, why are you running? And the thing is I want to try to make a difference. Again, Sam Roberts is fine. I retired 30 years with General Motors. I'm a skilled trades person, a tool and die maker, journeyman at that. But the thing is I want to make a difference. I have experience. I'm the only person running that has 14 years experience in the legislature, legislative experience. Nobody has it. Nobody can touch that. Folks say, well, I have this much experience in government. Yeah, but you a staffer.
Mm-hmm.
You're a staff person. Send me your resume. I'll give you a job when I get in. But the whole thing is I come in, I hit the ground running. Day one, the relationships that I have in government, even in Congress, again, I don't have to go and take classes. I don't have to go and be taught what to do. I know what to do. And I have the respect already, and they're waiting for me to come. So that's why I'm running.
With such a diverse district, you have so many different issues that you're running on. So what do you think are the most important things for the people of the 22nd?
George, it's interesting because it depends on who you talk to. Mm-hmm. Folks think about, there's the top 3 or the top 5. I'm saying there's so many issues. And if you don't talk about all of them, then somebody's going to feel so, well, you didn't mention mine, so it must not be important to you. But the biggest thing to me is the economy and jobs. That's the biggest thing. And
right.
Then, you have to look at healthcare, you have to look at education, so many things. You have to look at the attack from the Supreme Court, and I say attack, on civil liberties and people's rights, basic rights. There's just so much that's going on. And again, like I say, I could just go on and on and on, naming things. When I say health even, what does all that, we're talking about physical health, talking about mental health, women's reproductive rights included in all that. It's just so much that's involved.
So let's talk about some of the things that's on the table right now. Mm-hmm. So like you said, reproductive rights, right? With the recent decision of the Supreme Court, New York is set. I mean, we're good, right? In terms of our codification of a woman's right to choose in New York. But why haven't we been able to, I'm going to go to voting rights, because I think voting rights is really critical. Again, codified in New York, we feel like we've got that. But in so many other parts of the country, voting rights are being attacked. And as a member of Congress, how do we assure that voting rights will be protected? And can we get this John Lewis bill passed?
George, it has to happen. It's long overdue, because it seems like every so many years we hear that, well, Blacks aren't going to be able to vote. They're going to take our right to vote away from us. So we have the John L. Lewis, calling it named after a very dear, I would say friend, but somebody I know very well. Mm-hmm. And I met with him several times over the years. Civil rights leader, congressman, passed away, but John L. Lewis, and the bill is named after him. So we have to get that bill passed, and that will put it in the books, period. Right now, it's, can be taken away. So we have to make sure that that's voted on and it becomes part of our Constitution, our constitutional right to vote.
You talk about jobs. Obviously, that's a number one concern. We've got this sort of, we got an economy now, right? Where some of us are home, some of us aren't. We've got BA5. What's that called when something changes? mutation of the COVID-19 that's more contagious and infecting more people, and that's affecting how people work. And you're also seeing some of the jobs not returning, and then some employers can't keep people because people are just moving around, right? So I know that there was at the time of our conversation a bill passed about the chip and the semiconductor, and I know that Schumer was trying to get that get a chip plant in one of the upstate cities, or all the cities, because he talked about Albany, he talked about Syracuse, he talked about Buffalo. So from your perspective as a congressperson, if you're in there, what can you do to bring jobs to Central New York?
Well, the thing is, you mentioned Chuck Schumer, Senator Schumer, God bless him, and the chip. That goes back to when I was in the state assembly. And I remember he came up here and we were looking at the old GE out there. They had a building at the old General Electric plant. And he had a bag of chips, a bag of potato chips, and then he had some microchips there. And he's saying these chips, and right, but he, advocating for that to go there. So this is not new. This is nothing new. And things don't happen quickly. Things don't happen overnight. It takes a while. Now, I mean, it's a day late, the dollar short, but we need to push those kind of programs to try to get these jobs here. We have a great, well-educated and trained workforce right here in Central New York across all 3 counties. You look at all the different plants, manufacturing plants that closed down. But yet still no, we have the resources here. And again, one of our biggest resources is our trained workforce. And the pandemic changed a lot of things. It changed everything. Nothing would be the same after that. And one of the things is that people learned that they can work from home, George.
Right.
They don't have to do. Why do I have to go on to work? And this is something that we've been dealing with, especially like with the state, even when I was the commissioner. This is one of the things folks wanted to work remotely. And they were, going through that then. So now with the pandemic, it shows that people can work and get the job done from home. But yes, still no, we need people too to show up to work to get things done. There's a sandwich shop that I go to get a sandwich from. I went in there a couple of weeks ago. They said, well, the grill's closed. I said, why is the grill closed? I said, because we're shorthanded. We can't get enough people coming here. So it's tough. We still need people to do the jobs, to do the work. And we need to incentivize people not to stay home, but incentivize people to go to work.
So is there a federal solution here? I mean, right now, part of the issue right now is, are we going to have a recession? We're very close, right? Or recession light, which is going to impact employers' ability to hire. What is it that Congress can do to impact all of that?
Well, the thing is, all you can do is just try to vote, pass legislation, bring the bacon home. It's all about supporting and funding programs. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, what I learned over the years is, when you see programs that you believe in and you want to see funded, you got to follow that money right from where it's coming from to where it's going to end up. Make sure it gets to where it's supposed to go. Because if you don't, somebody will snatch it and divert it, and it will not get to where it needs to go.
You talked about your district being a very rural district. Agriculture, obviously a big concern with State Fair coming up, right? Ag and markets.
Yes.
What do you think the need is for the district regarding agriculture?
Well, it's a big thing. Going back when I was in the county legislature, I was on the conservation committee, and I did a lot of work with the farms and the farmers. Did a lot of farm tours. I'll just support them, and we have to support our family farmers. It's one of those situations where food, milk, vegetables, all those things that we rely on, that we need to eat, nutritional food. So we need to support them in every way that we can, because we need to keep them working, to keep us healthy, to keep us eating. So we don't have to rely on food coming in from China and overseas. We got fresh food, fruits right here in our own area in Central New York, and it's very important that we do that.
One of the things that you run on, obviously, is public safety. We've got there's some issues with police and community. How do we bolster support for community policing at the same time? Make sure that that the police are acting accordingly. You know, Black folk feel that there's disparate treatment when it comes to police. There's no secret about that. And we keep seeing incidents of that. How do you respond to all of that? How do you maintain community safety while at the same time recognizing that some don't feel that their that their rights are being upheld?
Oh yes, I understand. And it takes me back to, again, when I was in the county legislature, and some situations happen with kids getting beat up by the officers, and it's tough. So we advocated then for the Citizens Review Board, and that became a reality, and it's still there. We have to support those kind of agencies and those kind of people's boards and those kind of things to have some oversight over what's going on. But they have to function. They have to function. We have to support that. Same thing, we have to support our police, because they are the ones that are there. They are our front line. But we just have to support them too, and make sure that we have that dialogue with them so that they understand, look, this is what we need you to do. And we're going to support you when you do what's right. But when you don't do what's right, we're going to come at you. So they have to understand that we're here. People are calling to cut the police department in half and those kind of things, and cut the budget. And with all the crime that's going on, it's almost like we need more police.
Right.
But the thing is, we just have to make sure that, and the other thing is with that too, it's the way we police. So we have to add a social services, a mental health aspect to that. So when there's a call, you have to, the 911 dispatcher, they have to know, say, hey, look, there's some mental health issues here. Get a social service person, a mental health professional there to come and try to diffuse the whole situation and work with. So we have to look at the way we police.
It made me talking with Sam Roberts. He's a candidate for the 22nd Congressional District primary coming up here in upstate Syracuse. I say Syracuse because it's so many different areas, but where we're talking Onondaga County, but Oneida County and Madison County as well. So you talked about how policing should work, and you hear this movement of defund the police. I think it even was Jim Clyburn that said that's not. Wasn't he like critical of that? If I remember,
I didn't hear what he said.
I'm trying to think. Someone said that that's not a good idea. It might have been him, but I'm not sure. But this idea that you don't need police, or that police to be defunded, or maybe it wasn't said the right way. Have we done enough to get guns off the streets, illegal guns off the streets?
Have we done enough? That's an ongoing problem. Where guns are coming from, it's like they said in a movie years ago, we don't make guns here in Syracuse, not like that, not in the areas that we have the problems, yet they're there. We're passing laws. When I was in the state assembly, I voted for the SAFE Act, and it's not a perfect bill. It wasn't a perfect bill, but the thing is, when I do things like that and I look at them, I look at something that I like in the bill, something that I can live with in the bill. Mm-hmm. And it had a mental health aspect. It had the criminal aspect. Those kind of things were big. Safety. Each person has to be responsible for properly securing their guns and all that kind of stuff, and ammunition, everything that goes along with it. So the thing is a lot of these crimes that are being committed and these mass shootings are done with guns that are purchased legally. So, to get the guns off the street, they have the gun buybacks. I mean, those kind of situations. What do you do? It's tough. It's tough. But we just have to keep on. We can't give up. Can't give up. You don't need an assault weapon to go hunting. You don't need an assault weapon to, you know, have around your house. You don't need it to carry with you in your car, an assault weapon, you know, but then you have the folks that are Second Amendment, you know, folks, right to bear arms, to carry arms, and that kind of stuff. So it's a constitutional right as well.
Sam, do you think that Congress is right, and New York is right to codify a person's right to marry the person who they love, same-sex marriage? Do you think that that should be, the Supreme Court obviously said they could look at that. Do you think it's right that Congress is trying to codify that?
Well, that's another thing. When I was in the state assembly, I was a vote for the Marriage Equality Act. I think people should be able to love and live in their own way. That's it. Government doesn't need to be in people's bedrooms.
Period. And the same thing goes for women's rights, a woman's right to choose. The same question around that.
Yeah, well, I spoke to that.
Yeah,
You know, I support the women's right to choose. It's her body, it's her right. You know, and the thing is, and it's not so much. I'm talking about health, period.
mm-hmm.
I'm talking about women's health, period. That shouldn't be dictated by a bunch of men and telling women what to do. Women don't tell men what to do. You know, as far as that goes. You know, as far as health care and stuff. I mean, it's just not right. Again, like I said, you know, it's their body, it's their choice.
Obviously, public education. You know, there's a debate as to whether or not there should be school choice or not. What do you, and also improving the quality of public education? What's your thoughts about that?
Quality of education, every child should have a quality of high quality education, everybody across the board, regardless of where you live, what your zip code is, whatever. And that's what we have to make sure that it happens, to level that playing field. We've been talking about it. You know, when I was a kid, they started busing, you know, to, you know, do that. And, you know, but we have to just make sure it's there. And again, the other part is we have to make sure that it's affordable and accessible, you know, because it's tough. We have to make sure that kids get to school, you know, and all those situations. It's a tough thing, but we have to make sure we are the folks that have to make sure that the kids are educated, and our schools are, again, we have to level the playing field. Everybody has new books, the education, the access to computers, laptops, to the internet. You know, that's a big thing in rural America, access to the internet. So there's a lot that goes along with that. We have to make sure that our teachers are taken care of, you know, that they have the tools that they need to be successful in the classroom.
So as you're traveling, and as you were talking, I was just thinking about, you know, educational reforms in the Biden administration. And speaking of the Biden administration, so what do you think? There's you know, should Biden run again?
Should Biden run again? That's up to Biden to decide what Biden's going to do. You know,
well, some Democrats feel that it's a liability right now.
Well, there's a lot of things. Trump's a liability to people too, right? So
yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, it all depends on who you're talking to. You know, it really does. You know, Biden is doing the best job that he can with what he has to work with.
Here's what I find interesting. Right?
Biden is not the one that's holding up the legislation. He's not the one that's holding up progress. He's not the one that's just trying to take away people's rights from the Supreme Court.
Who is?
Well, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. And,
right.
And the justices that sit on that Supreme Court, George, are all appointed by presidents that did not win the popular vote to get into the White House. Okay.
Here's what's interesting to me. This is my thought. I'm just going to ask you this. It seems to me, so you mentioned the former president, right? And whether Republicans, whatever they thought about, they realized that to get done what they needed to get done, they had to be unified and in step. And they did it. Why do Democrats fight each other and then don't get their They're right, like if they had just, they could get a lot more done, but I'm a Democrat, so I'm acknowledging that, right? I'm just trying to figure out why doesn't it work the same way for the Democrats?
George, I have been asking that same question since I was first elected to government.
Okay.
Trust me, I was in a body that I served, and it's like they needed us to do it, and they could always come to us and get 1, 2, 3, however many they needed, and get them to pass whatever they need to pass. You go to them, you need a half of one of them, and you couldn't even get a third of one of them to say yes. And they, like you said, they're lockstep. And the reason why I think a lot of it is because Democrats care, and we want to see things happen. We want to see things work for people.
Right.
We're not obstructionists. We're not obstructionists. We really want to see when something good is happening for people. It's not about the party line all the time. It's about the people that we serve.
What's right.
And I think that's the reason why it happens. It's not that we had the Democrats are selling out the party or selling anybody out. It's just that we want to see and make sure that people happen for the people that we are elected to serve.
Sam, interesting. So people in Syracuse and Onondaga County, very familiar with you, and obviously as an elected representative for the region. So how are you making yourself known in Utica, Rome area?
I'm going there, to different functions. I'm campaigning there, but I'm no stranger to these areas either.
Right.
Again, I've been traveling to all those places since I was a kid with my father, through the relationships that he had, through the relationship that I have, with the organizations I'm involved with, the Masonic bodies, the Elks, the other fraternities, those kind of things, through my union activity. I've been going to Rome, Utica, all over. Sylvan Beach is in the area. I'm a boater. I hit them water spots. I ride my motorcycle all over the place. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, I'm so proud to have an opportunity to run and hopefully serve in government to represent Central New York, because I really love it. I've been here all my life, born and raised here, and I just feel real good about it. So I've been going to again, it's just beautiful to be able to go, and people have been so open and receptive. So
are you hearing different things in different parts? Like, so are you hearing all the same concerns, whether you're in Utica, whether you're in Canastota, whether you're in South Salina Street, or whether you're in Wampsville?
Right. There's some issues that are the same, and there's some issues that are different. There's definitely a difference when it comes to different things in the rural area opposed to the city area, but still, it's all about people. Jobs, the economy, the global warming even is affecting us. Look at the flooding and the dry spells and those kind of things that's going on. We don't have, thank God, right at the moment, we don't have the forest fires or
George III.
But we have a lot of different situations.
Mm-hmm.
And those are definitely areas of concern for everyone. So no, it's not that big a difference. It's not that big.
Sam, and closing, what do you want the voters to know about you?
Well, what I'd like to do, first of all, George, in closing, is again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to address our fellow whoever listeners, as we say. Is this on the radio? Is this going to be a podcast where you can see us?
All of the above.
Well, thank you. I love you guys and gals. So the thing is I just want to again reiterate the fact that hopefully folks will vote for me because I'm the best person for the job. Again, like I say, I'm the only one that has the legislative experience, true and actual legislative experience. And again, I have a record. My record, it's impeccable, because if it wasn't, like I'd say, you would know it. so I represented. Again, like I said, I won 8 times, and I'm looking to make this my 9th. Okay, so my 9th and my 10th, because we look at the primary and then the general. That's going to add 2 more notches to the belt. So again, love you guys. Thank you. And remember, vote.
And the New York 22nd primary is going to be what date?
The early voting starts August 13th, and the actual primary day election is August 23rd. So vote before August 23rd.
And lastly, what is the difference between you and your opponents?
What are my opponents? What opponents? No, actually, there are people running. Well, again, like I say, the difference is again, my experience. We are all Democrats. Let me tell you this. We have a great group of people that are running. They can't say nothing bad about any of them. I won't say anything.
Right.
But the thing is that, and again, we all agree we have the same values, the democratic values. We are all true Democrats. Okay, and don't let anybody else say that none of us are. But the difference is, again, like I say, it's my experience and what I bring to the table and what I've done. As a commissioner, I've traveled this whole state. I've done a lot across this whole state, millions of dollars that I've brought into this district in all 3 of the counties, Onondaga, Oneida, and Madison, millions of dollars in projects, making a difference in people's lives.
Sam Roberts, candidate for the 22nd Congressional District. The primary is August 23rd, and early voting starts on the 13th, and all the same locations and the different times of the different locations. But you can vote.
And absentee is going on right now.
Absentee is going right now.
An absentee ballot, you can call or contact the Board of Elections in your respective county, and they will get your application if you going with that.
And where most of our listeners are in Onondaga County, those early voting sites are pretty much the same. The Magnorelli Community Center, Beecham Library, Camillus Building, Clay Town Hall, DeWitt Town Hall, Lafayette Fire Station, Lysander Building, OCC, which I didn't know that must be a new one, North Syracuse Community Center, and the Syracuse Community Connections, Southwest Community Center. All the times and dates, you go to ongov.net. We'll have that link for you where you can go early voting. And the thing is, no matter where you live in Onondaga County, you can vote anywhere early. So that's something that you should know as well. So there you go. Sam Roberts, good luck, man.
Thank you, folks. God bless you.
Inspiration for the nation.